Hey, hello, hello. And welcome to another episode of the Good Girls Get Rich podcast. I'm your host, Karen Yankovich. And today we are talking about something that I hear a lot about, right? And that is, we're going to talk a little bit about PR. And you know that I'm known for LinkedIn strategy, but I really like to infuse a PR strategy over your LinkedIn strategy, because I think that it's really important that you're known as an expert. And when other people interview you, or it's like borrowed credibility, right? It's earned media, not paid media. People are, you're getting interviewed, or even if it's just podcast interviews, right? And these are rooms that you're not in right now. And it's not because you're not qualified, right? And it's not because you're not ready. It's because the people making the decisions in those rooms don't know your name. And, I know we're all being told, put yourself out there, pitch yourself, be louder. And so often when we hear that, it feels off, like we're performing or bragging or, becoming somebody that maybe like you don't respect. Other people going, who does she think she is, right? So instead, you stay brilliant, you stay busy, and you stay invisible, right? And then you wonder why less qualified, louder voices keep getting opportunities. So I don't think it's that you don't want the visibility. I think it's the way we've been taught to get it feels misaligned. So on this episode, we're going to fix that today. We're going to fix that today. I kind of believe that women, in many cases, were socialized out of PR, right? We've been conditioned to take up less space or not talk about yourself too much, right? Girls will be seen and not heard, right? Or we're conditioned to over deliver and instead of self-promoting. And self-promoting feels like a bad thing, right? Instead of something that's just owning what it is that you're doing, right? And PR, as it's sometimes taught, not by everyone, but it's sometimes taught, feels a little bit aggressive or transactional or ego-driven. And you've probably even seen these people on TV, right? If you see a PR expert or a PR person on a TV show, they're typically very pushy and they're pitching people. And, that's not what this is. That's not what this is. In my world, PR isn't like, look at me, right? PR is more, this idea needs to be heard. Your ideas need to be heard, right? So even just posting, like even if you're on LinkedIn and you're just posting, it's kind of almost like micro PR, because every post is like a tiny media opportunity. So if it feels cringe, and I promise you, like we've done, like one of the things our company does is write LinkedIn profiles. And we've written LinkedIn profiles for some of the most brilliant women in the world, really, like people that you've seen their names in, top 10 women who. And when we finish their profile, they're like, oh, can I really say this about myself? And I'm like, I didn't make this up. You did all this stuff, right? Like you did all this stuff. You're just owning it here, right? So even the most accomplished women in the world sometimes feel cringe when they're promoting themselves. And it's not because you're doing it wrong, or it's not because they were doing it wrong. It's because you're doing it in a way that you were taught to not do, right? Or maybe you feel like it doesn't match your values. So I want to shift the way you're thinking about this from promoting yourself to serving through visibility. Right. So it's not just about pitching yourself. Obviously, there's some pitching involved in PR, right? I'm not here to pretend that it's something that it's not. But it's not about like cringe pitches. It's more just about like putting your ideas where they can create more impact. Right. So, if you're sitting there thinking like, who am I to say this? Like, I remember when I first posted the first episode of this show, and you can listen to it, KarenYankovich.com/001. It's pretty funny. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like people are going to say, who is she to think that she should have a podcast? And I want you to reframe that from who am I to think I should have a podcast, to who benefits if I don't put my message out there, right? And who's missing it if I don't put my message out there, right? Who's not hearing what they need to hear at the moment they need to hear it? Because I feel like, who am I to say this? Another reframe might be, especially like if you know anything about human design, I'm a human design projector. And if you know anything, and I will link to the episode I did with Candy Barone, and projectors in human design need to be asked. Right. So how do you do that? How do you teach lead generation when you need to be asked? Right. So if you're feeling like I need to be chosen, I want you to reframe that a little bit to I choose where I show up. Right. And then people can see me and then they can invite me. Right. So you still have to show up and you have to ask to be seen and put the ideas in front of the right people so that your message can get in front of the people that need to hear it. And then more people can come to you. And that's the magnetic marketing that I love to teach so much. I mean, I'm not the person that's going to teach you go sit on the beach and meditate and your leads are going to come to you, right? Go ahead and sit on the beach and meditate. I love to sit on the beach and meditate, right? So I'm not saying don't do that, but there's also some things you need to do. There's some marketing things you need to do to get some leads. But for example, if I got a message this week from somebody that said, "Hey, I've been following your YouTube channel and I'm organizing an event and I need a speaker and I think you're going to be perfect for that." That's the magnetic marketing, right? So Karen Yankovich, the projector, the human design projector, I'm putting myself out there by showing up on my YouTube channel and being in and asking to be speaking on other people's podcasts, because then people get to choose me, right? When they're looking for things that need to happen. And that's the magnetic marketing that's just the brilliance in marketing. When that's what's happening with your business, everything changes. Or maybe you're starting to think it feels self-centered. I feel like I'm just talking about myself, blah, blah, blah. I want you to think about that as this is leadership, man. We need this. We need your voice. So if you're feeling like I'm just talking all about me, like you're not talking about you. There are people that are going to hear your message and they're going to be saying, they're going to reach out to you and they're going to say, I really needed to hear that today. So think a little bit about like just the whole equation here, right? And I want to kind of tie it back to my LinkedIn and PR strategies, why I think that they're so powerful together. LinkedIn is owned media. You own it. I mean, LinkedIn really owns it, but you create it. It's you, right? You've created everything around it. PR is like borrowed media, right? So you borrow their other people's audiences, but together they start to become your authority ecosystem. So stop thinking about visibility as ego. Stop thinking about visibility as cringy or promoting, and start thinking of it simply as distribution of your message, right? And the more visibility you have, the more your message gets in front of the right people, and the more they can call you and say, "Hey, I need you to speak at my event." See how simple that is? I know I make it sound so easy, but it really can be that easy. So I want to kind of take this, like demystify this a little bit and make this a little bit more practical and kind of take PR off the pedestal. PR simply is getting your ideas featured in places that your audience already is, that your audience already trusts, right? It is simply that. So podcasts, if you're interviewed on somebody else's podcast, and there's so many ways to do this. There's so many. Go to Apple Podcasts and put your topic in and see how many episodes, see how many different podcasts there are that, you might be able to be a guest on. Articles, right? Forbes, Fast Company, plenty of people are looking for guest articles, right? Even just guest expert quotes, right? Or speaking on stages. This is all other people's audiences, which is really the best way to grow your brand. And again, you are like, when I talk about LinkedIn strategy, I want you to be connecting with people consistently, but what most people get wrong is they're connecting with people that they think will buy their stuff, right? Who wants that connection request? Hey, I'm Karen and I think you'd be a great fit for my mastermind. Who wants that connection request, right? I'd much rather see you connecting with people that are podcast hosts that can maybe feature you in an article, that might have a book that they can quote you in, that has a stage they might feature you on, right? Connect with them. Oh my gosh, you're doing such amazing work with this audience. I see you're doing this and this and this. I would really love to be a part of that. Do you have a couple minutes to talk and see if there's a fit or an opportunity or whatever that looks like? Because now, so you're still kind of pitching, right? You're not sitting on the beach meditating. You're still kind of doing the work, but you're doing it one to many, because if you pitch 10 of these, and honestly, if you do this right, you don't even need to, you pitch 10, you should get 8 or 9. If you reach out to 10 people, then and they say yes, then you're getting in front of their audience and you're starting to strengthen that magnet. So at some point you might want a PR firm, but you don't need a PR firm. You don't need a massive following. You don't need like perfect branding. You do need clear positioning. People need to know what it is you do. And they need to be, the more specific it is, the easier it will be for them to say, you need to call Karen, right? You need a point of view, and you need to share your point of view. People need to know your point of view. And honestly, in the world we live in right now, I think it's also important that your values are shared, because many people, they're looking to align with people who have the same values they have. And if they don't know your values, they're going to find somebody else to do it whose values they can identify. Does that make sense? And you need to be consistent. You don't need to be posting every day on LinkedIn, but you need to be consistent. You need to post a couple times a week. You need to consistently have your name out there so that people can see you consistently and, again, get drawn to you. Right? So kind of LinkedIn is where you prove your ideas and where people can learn more about you. PR is where you scale them, where you get more eyes on them. Could be that simple. It could be that simple. So let's talk a little bit about a way to do this in like a non-cringy way, right? The first thing I kind of want you to do here is think about, what is it that you want to be known for? What is it? What do you want to be known for? Not your bio, not your resume. What do you want to be known for? What are you willing to say repeatedly? What are you willing to stand for? What is your position on the topic that you're an expert in, right? Like, really get clear on this. Really get clear on this. It's so important. I remember, God, when I first went into this business, frankly, a friend of mine, he asked me to help her daughter with her LinkedIn profile, and she was just graduating college, and I was like, all right, happy to do that. And I looked at her LinkedIn profile, and it basically said, I need a job, right? So who's hiring that person? And I was like, let's just get really clear. If you could pick one job in the whole world that you wanted to do, what would that job be? One job in the whole wide world. And she's like, well, I did PR for nonprofits when I was in college, and I loved it. I go, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to write your profile like that's the only job in the world for you. Okay, that's how we're going to write your profile. In my head thinking, her mother's going to kill me if she doesn't have a job, because now I'm like, but I know this stuff works. So I was just like, all right, we're going to do this. And then you're going to reach out to people that do that job now, because many people my age are happy to help college students that are just breaking into the industry that I'm in, right? So do you know that she had a job within a week doing exactly what she wanted to do? It's because of the clarity around her brand, the clarity in her LinkedIn profile. So it's really important that you have that clarity around the conversations you want to have. And then you have to create some proof of your authority, right? So start to create, like, before you start to reach out to anyone to be a guest on their show, post once or twice a week for 5 or 6 weeks on LinkedIn about things around that topic or that idea, so that when they look at you, they see some history of that, right? Not like, what you did this yesterday, you were a veterinarian, and today you're a Reiki master, right? Like, be consistent with your messaging and put some history in there, right? Put some history in there. Build it up. You don't have to wait 6 months, but give it a couple of weeks at least. Okay, give it a couple of weeks so that they can see that you're being consistent with the same messaging. Have a framework. Talk about your framework, right? Be clear about your framework. You can even have conversations with ChatGPT about this. Here's what I do. Here's how I do it. Can you help me wrap my thoughts, this random thoughts that I have, and help me wrap it into a framework that I can then start talking about? So you're not asking ChatGPT to do it for you. You're taking your ideas and you're asking them to help you make the message clear and have that clarity. And this, you have the clarity now with your proof of thought, you're making it even clearer, right? And maybe some results, right? A client. And if you have to do volunteer work to get those results, do volunteer work, right? Get a testimonial from somebody that you've done this for. It doesn't have to be somebody that wrote you a check or gave you their credit card, right? Because this is what's going to happen when you start doing this. You start building more confidence. You start to show as more credible, right? And it starts to help you get even more clarity around what it is you're doing. And then the next thing you need to do is pitch this like a human being, not a marketer, right? We all have gotten those pitches that you could, like, when I get pitches, and you can just imagine, I have a podcast with 300 and something episodes. I get a lot of pitches. The first thing I look for is there anything personalized in that pitch? Or can that pitch be copied and pasted into 25 different people? I even got video pitches. I even get video pitches sometimes from people that don't even have my name in it. And I'm like, they just sent this same pitch to 25 different people. Like, what? Put my name in it, right? Like, I don't like I said, if you're doing this right, if you're pitching 10 people, you should get 8 results. If you're doing it like spamming the world, you're not going to get any results, and you're going to spin your wheels. It takes so much more time that way. So even though it feels like it takes more time to be human, right? To actually listen to the show or learn a little bit more about the event that you want to be a speaker at, or whatever it is, right? Engage in a Facebook group if you want them to bring you in as an expert there, right? So do that, like be a human being, and then message them, right? And you're not just saying like, I'd love to be featured, right? You can say, oh my gosh, I heard you, I listened to this episode and you were talking about this, and this. And I so relate to that because I've been having so many conversations about that lately, especially with women that are navigating whatever, right? And maybe they didn't talk about that little piece in the show. And it might be something your audience might really resonate with. So just, it feels more like a contribution to their show than a pitch to them, a cold pitch to them. But you have to take the time to listen to the show. And listen, you can get some help with this, right? If you have a VA or whatever, you can get some help with this. But be a pitch like a human, please. Please. These are the things we teach in the Visibility Salon. If you haven't checked it out yet, check out visibilitysalon.com. We've completely revamped all of our programs for 2026. And the Visibility Salon is a ridiculous bargain and a ridiculous amount of value for you. So check it out. And we teach you how to do this stuff because I want you to do 10 pitches and I want you to get 8 results and then be in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people from those 8 results, right? It can be that simple. All right. The next thing I want you to do is please let LinkedIn do the heavy lifting for you, right? When somebody throws your name in a search bar or checks you out, and we don't buy a pencil without looking for reviews. So I promise you, they're checking you out, right? You must have a LinkedIn profile that clearly states what your expertise is, that clearly shows your voice, that clearly lets them know that you're a human being and not an AI bot, and clearly has a call to action as to what they should do next. Not 50 things. I see so many people that have their featured section and they have like 12 things in their featured section on LinkedIn. Who's looking at all that? I'm not. Are you? Right? Why do you think anybody's looking at your 12 things? One or 2 things there. Listen to my episode, book a call, or check out the Visibility Salon and whatever it is you're promoting at any given time. Right? And make sure it's very clear what that next step is you want them to do. Put it in your about section. Want to learn more? Here's what you do next. Grab my free whatever. Because when you are featured in the media, on podcasts, in Forbes or wherever you're featured, people are going to Google you, right? And you need to capture that attention. You need to capture that attention, and LinkedIn converts that attention. And this is all stuff you can have set up in advance. You don't have to change. Like, your LinkedIn profile is a living, breathing thing. So it's not Mount Rushmore, right? It's not going to be locked in for life, but do the work, have a great profile. Again, we give you a full training on that in the Visibility Salon for a ridiculous investment. Do that up front. And then if it's not converting for you, just take a look at it and change it. Or, come into the Visibility Salon live calls and say, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm not getting any results from this. And then we'll help you with that, right? So the PR gets you the attention. LinkedIn converts that attention. So if you're still feeling like blocked around this a little bit, like I'm not really ready yet, you're not going to be ready. You're never going to be ready. Like, you are never, ever going to be ready. You just got to do it. You just got to do it. You got to jump off the cliff and do it. Right. And if you're feeling like, I don't want to be salesy, then don't be salesy. Like, I want you to feel comfortable. One of the things that I teach is, as you're writing your LinkedIn profile, or as you're writing these pitches, or as you're doing any of this stuff that we're talking about here today, read it out loud. It needs to feel like you. You need to feel really comfortable in how you speak to people. And if you can't read it out loud, then it's not ready to go. Like, it needs to be you, right? And, maybe you're thinking like, no one's going to respond. What do I do if nobody responds? But you do nothing. You do it again, right? Like, I mean, we've all heard the stories of how many rejection letters people have gotten before they've, made their first $1 billion. Who cares? It's just data. It's just data. It's not rejection. It's just data, right? It's not personal. It's editorial. Okay. So if you're still feeling those blocks, please let me talk you through them, right? Because it's so common. It's so common to feel these blocks. Here's the deal. I want to raise the stakes here for you a little bit. Invisibility is costing you. It's costing you lower rates. You're not able to charge as much. It's costing you missed opportunities, right? If that person that followed me on YouTube never found my podcast, they would have hired somebody else to speak at their event, right? It costs you being overlooked for the rooms that you belong in. And I know you've seen this, people way not as qualified as you getting opportunities. I mean, I remember speaking at events where I saw the keynote speaker, and certainly in the beginning of my career. And I was like, I would do this so much better than her. I can't believe they hired this person, not me. They hired me to do a workshop and this is the keynote speaker. Like, this happens to all of us. So you have to put yourself out there so that you can get. And here's the thing, all of those people that listened to that keynote speaker got what they got, the less than qualified results of that, right? Where they could have gotten a higher quality, in my personal opinion, right? So this is how women build more wealth. This is how we build more legacy. This is how we start stepping into influence. And we must do that right now. Never in the history of the world has there been a time that women need to take control of their own destinies. We need to have money. We need to have money in the bank. We need to have our voices out there. We need to be confidently sharing what we do. We need to, even if you have a paycheck, it's not secure now. You know what's secure? Investing in your own brand, investing in yourself, and investing in knowing how to build wealth and relying on yourself and nobody else to be able to bring that wealth into you. The reality is this isn't going to happen from behind the scenes, right? So if you're still behind the scenes, you're not going to be building that wealth that I want you to have. So I guess to bring this all home for you, right? You don't need to become louder. You don't need to be pushy. You just need a way to be seen more in a way that feels like you. And when you find that, the visibility stops feeling like effort and starts feeling a little bit more like expansion. So here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to pitch yourself today. I don't want you to pitch yourself for the next week. Just start a few conversations. One post on LinkedIn. One idea that you commented on somebody else's post. Again, you're not pitching yourself. You're just jumping into conversations. One perspective that maybe you've been holding back and it's time to let that perspective out. This is all I want you to do today. That's it. That's your homework. So, and remember that if you're really ready to turn that into real visibility, real credibility, and real clients, come join us inside the Visibility Salon. Because it's not about being everywhere. It's about being known in the exact right places. Thank you so much for hanging with me today. I am so grateful you're here. If you love this episode, please share it on social media and tag me. Because if you tag me, then I see it and I can then share it with my audience. And because what I want is for you to get seen more, right? So if I can be a part of that, I am so happy to do that. So share this with your audience, tag me so I can share it with my audience. And now that's how you're starting to get more media, right? This is how it works. Simple, simple. And I'll see you back here with another episode of the Good Girls Get Rich podcast.